My name is Brent Lyons from the Schulich School of Business at York University. I worked on this paper while I was at Simon Fraser University with my collaborator Simon Peck at the University of Victoria and Jennifer Wessel at the University of Maryland. The inspiration behind this paper was really based on stories of individuals with stigmatized identities. So whether you have a disability or you're a sexual minority, an important part of having a stigma is making choices about how you communicate about your association with your stigma to other people. Those identity management strategies are also thought to have implications for social change. So I might disclose my disability in a way that hopefully makes my coworkers see my disability not as something that's to be devalued or stigmatized, but as something that is perhaps positive or a source of value. So if you look at the stories of individual stigmatized identities, a part of their motivation is how their identity management choices can facilitate a social change towards the destigmatization of their identity. So when we went and looked at the literature on stigma identity management and destigmatization in organizations, we couldn't really find theory that spoke to this phenomenon of how individuals with stigmatized identities can be agents of social change in their interaction with their coworkers. What we did find is in the stigma identity management literature, there was a large focus on outcomes for the individual stigma holders. So if I come out as gay or I disclose my disability, I might have higher well-being or be more prone to experiencing discrimination. But it's not really clear how those kinds of identity management choices actually contribute to leading towards the destigmatization of my identity. Furthermore, if you look at the literature on diversity management or inclusion, the emphasis really has been on more top-down managerial or organizational practices that can lead towards the acceptance or valuing of a stigmatized identity. But what's less clear is how individuals themselves are involved in those kind of social change processes. And why that's important to consider is that these kind of identity management choices are choices that individuals with stigmas make on a day-to-day basis in many of their face-to-face interactions. And destigmatization can occur from bottom up. So it's important to understand kind of the nuances and contingencies of how individuals and their coworkers can be involved in social change. So that's why we are particularly interested in looking at how individuals and their coworkers themselves can be involved in this bottom-up change. In this paper, we articulate a theory about how individuals with stigmatized identities, through their engagement in identity management strategies, can facilitate the social change towards destigmatization of their identity in their local work group. And an important component of our theory is how these stigma identity management strategies influence how recipients of those identity management strategies or individuals with dominant identities such as heterosexual people or able-bodied people come to understand their own identities in relation to the stigmatized identities. So our theory actually speaks to a process of social change that is initiated by stigma identity management that leads recipients of identity management and individuals with stigma to see not only the stigmatized identity in a different light, but also the dominant identity in a different light as well. In addition to kind of understanding the mechanisms and conditions that underlie interactions between stigma holders and their coworkers, our theory also speaks to how changes in identity meanings can transmit from one set of negotiations of identity meanings to other negotiations within a work group. So our theory actually speaks to how social change can transmit throughout a work group and ultimately how stigma identity management can contribute to destigmatization of an identity within a local work group and potentially even to other interactions and groups within an organization, the organization more broadly. How we frame individuals with stigmatized identities as important agents of social change within organizations, and in particular, how we frame stigma identity management as a source of power for individuals who might otherwise be thought of having little power to contribute to social change within organizations. So we hope that our paper encourages scholars to start thinking about how bottom-up change towards destigmatization might occur within organizations. With that in mind, thank you for your interest, and we hope you enjoy reading the paper.